ഹൗസ് ഹോൾഡ് സോളാർ പാനലൊക്കെ ഫിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ പല സ്കീംസ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിന് ഇംപ്ലിമെൻറ്റേഷൻ മിക്കവാറും അടുത്ത വർഷത്തോടെ, അടുത്ത ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ഇയറോടെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. ഏപ്രിൽ ടു മെയ് ആ ഒരു ഇലക്ഷൻ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ അതിലൊരു സോളാറിൽ നല്ല രീതിയിൽ ഇവർ പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. നല്ല സോളാർ ഹൗസ് ഹോൾഡ് ആയാലും അതുപോലെ കമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ മീൻസ് ബിസിനസ് രീതിയിലായാലും ഒരു സോളാർ പവർ ജനറേഷനിലോട്ട് നല്ല പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. ചെറിയ ചെറിയ യൂണിറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഒരു നല്ല ഡിമാൻഡുണ്ട്. നമുക്കറിയാം ഇപ്രാവശ്യം സമ്മർ വളരെ ഹോട്ടായിരിക്കും, സിവിയർ സമ്മറായിരിക്കും. അപ്പം ഇതുപോലത്തെ ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി ഡിമാൻഡ് കൂടാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട് നല്ല രീതിയിൽ. അപ്പോൾ പൊതുവേ പവർ സെക്ടർ നമ്മുടെ സമ്മർ കഴിയുന്ന ഒരു നല്ലൊരു ആക്ടിവിറ്റി കാണുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിലൊരു നല്ല ഷെയറും അതുപോലെ സോളാറിൽ നല്ലൊരു ഗ്രോത്ത് ഓറിയൻറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കമ്പനിയെ ടാറ്റ പവർ നമുക്ക് മേടിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. നമുക്ക് നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ കാനറ ബാങ്ക് നോക്കാം. കാര്യം പബ്ലിക് സെക്ടർ ബാങ്ക് ഇപ്പോഴും ലോയിൽ നിന്ന് നല്ല അപ്രീഷിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിലും ഇപ്പോഴും അവളുടെ വാല്യുവേഷൻ വളരെ റീസണബിൾ ആണ്. ഒരു മെയിൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഈ എക്കണോമിക് ഗ്രോത്ത് വന്ന ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ബാങ്കിങ് സെക്ടർ ആയിരിക്കും. മുമ്പത്തെ പോലുള്ള NPA ഇഷ്യൂസൊക്കെ ഇപ്പോൾ കുറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞു. പിന്നെ കാനറ ബാങ്ക് ഒരു സ്പ്ലിറ്റ് അനൗൺസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. പൊതുവെ സ്പ്ലിറ്റൊക്കെ അനൗൺസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഒരു ആക്ടിവിറ്റി ലിക്വിഡിറ്റി കൂടുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു സ്റ്റോക്ക് കൂടുന്ന എന്ന് തോന്നുന്നത്. പബ്ലിക് സെക്ടർ ബാങ്കിൽ 2-3 ബാങ്ക്സ് നല്ല ഫണ്ടമെന്റലി സ്ട്രോങ് ആണ്. NPA കുറവാണ്, വലിയ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഒന്നുമില്ല. അതുപോലെ അവരുടെ ഷെയർ ഹോൾഡിങ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നോർമലാണ്. മീൻസ് മെജോറിറ്റി ബിലോ 75% ആണ് ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഹോൾഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ലിക്വിഡിറ്റി പോയിന്റ് ഓഫ് വ്യൂ എല്ലാ രീതിയിലും ഡൈവേഴ്സിഫൈഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഹോൾഡിങ്സ് ആണ് കാനറ ബാങ്ക്. ബുക്ക് വാല്യൊക്കെ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കിപ്പോഴും നല്ലൊരു ബുക്ക് 450 ഉള്ളൂ. അപ്പം എബോവ് വഴി 1 to 1.2 ആ റേഞ്ചിലെ ബുക്ക് വാല്യൂയിൽ ട്രേഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നുള്ളൂ. നല്ലൊരു അപ്രിസിയേഷൻ ചാൻസ് ഉള്ളൊരു സെക്ടറാണ് പബ്ലിക് സെക്ടർ ബാങ്കിൽ. അതിൽ മേജറായിട്ടുള്ള ബാങ്ക്സിന് നല്ല അപ്രിസിയേഷൻ കിട്ടുന്നതാണ് വരുന്ന കാലങ്ങളിൽ. അതിൽ കാനറ ബാങ്ക് നമുക്ക് മേടിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ സെൻസാർ ടെക് ഇപ്പം നമുക്ക് ഈ ഇലക്ഷനൊക്കെ ഒരു മാർക്കറ്റ് വോളറ്റിലിറ്റി കൂടുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിലൊരു സ്റ്റേബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയാണ് IT. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മിഡ് ക്യാപ് ITയിൽ നല്ലൊരു കമ്പനിയാണ് സെൻസാർ ടെക്. റീസണബിൾ ആയിട്ട് വാല്യുവേഷൻ ഉള്ള ഒരു കമ്പനിയാണ്. കാരണം മിഡ് ക്യാപ് IT ആസ് എ സെക്ടർ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വാല്യുവേഷൻ വളരെ ഹൈ ആണ് ചെറിയ ഒരുപാട് കമ്പനീസിന്. അപ്പോൾ അതിലൊരു വാല്യുവേഷൻ റീസണബിൾ ആയിട്ട് കിട്ടുന്ന കമ്പനി കുറവാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ സെൻസാർ ടെക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവർ പുതിയ ടെക്നോളജി, ആർട്ടിഫിഷ്യൽ ഇൻ്റലിജൻസ്, അതുപോലെ ഡിജിറ്റൽ ഇതിലൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. ക്ലൗഡ് അതുപോലത്തെ അതിലൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് അവർ ബിസിനസ് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പം അത് ഒക്കെ ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവാണ്. അപ്പോൾ വരും കാലങ്ങളിലുള്ള റിസൾട്ടും ബെറ്റർ ആവാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ലെവലിൽ നമുക്ക് മേടിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അടുത്തതായി നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഓറിയൻ ഇലക്ട്രിക് ആണ്. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ സമ്മർ സീസൺ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ജനറലി ഈ AC ഫാൻ സെല് ചെയ്യുന്ന കമ്പനീസ് ഇതൊക്കെ ഒരു ആക്ടിവിറ്റി കാണാറുണ്ട്. ഒരു ലോങ് സമ്മറൊക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ ഇതിനൊക്കെ കൂടുതൽ ഗ്രോത്തും വരുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഫാൻസ്, അതുപോലത്തെ സീലിംഗ് ഫാൻ, അതുപോലെ ഫാൻസ്, കൂളേഴ്സ് ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു കമ്പനിയാണ് ഓറിയൻ ഇലക്ട്രിക്. അവർക്കല്ലാത്ത സ്വിച്ച് ഗിയേഴ്സ് ഇതെല്ലാം ഇലക്ട്രിക് എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ ഇതാണ് അവർ കൂടുതൽ കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നല്ല മാർക്കറ്റ് ഷെയർ ഉള്ള ഒരു കമ്പനിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഈ ലെവലിൽ മേടിക്കാം. വാല്യുവേഷൻ കുറച്ച് ഹയർ സൈഡ് ആയാലും ഈ ക്വാർട്ടറും നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇയറിലെ ഫസ്റ്റ് ക്വാർട്ടർ, അതായത് ഏപ്രിൽ ടു ജൂൺ ക്വാർട്ടറൊക്കെ റിസൾട്ട് നല്ല വരാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതനുസരിച്ച് ഒരു ആക്ടിവിറ്റി വരുന്നതാണ്, നമുക്ക് ബൈയിങ് വരുന്നതാണ്, മേടിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. ഇത് ഫെബ്രുവരിൻ്റെ റിവ്യൂ ആണ്. കുമിൻസ് നല്ല രീതിയിൽ കയറിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് നമ്മുടെ ടാർഗറ്റ് അച്ചീവ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിൻ്റെ അടുത്തൊരു എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. 2860 ആണ് ഓർഡർ. 2828 വരെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ അമർ രാജ ബാറ്ററി ഹോൾഡ് ചെയ്യാമെന്നാണ്. അത് നല്ലൊരു ഷെയർസാണ്. മെയിനായിട്ട് കുറച്ച് ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോയത് അക്സോണബിളായിരുന്നു, പെയിൻറ്റ് കമ്പനി. കാരണം നമുക്കറിയാം മറ്റേ ആദിത്യ ബിർള ഗ്രൂപ്പിൻ്റെ പെയിൻറ്റ് ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ പൊതുവെ പെയിൻറ്റ് കമ്പനിക്കൊക്കെ ഒരു സെല്ലിംഗ് പ്രഷർ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ കുറച്ച് ഇറങ്ങിയാണ്. പക്ഷെ നല്ല കമ്പനിയാണ്, റീസണബിൾ വാല്യുവേഷൻ ഹോൾഡ് ചെയ്യാനാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു 0.7%, നിയർലി 1% ഡൗൺ ആയിരുന്നു. മാർക്കറ്റ് ജനറലി അപ്പായിരുന്നു. കാരണം മാർക്കറ്റ് കൂടുതൽ കാര്യം അതിൻ്റെ റിലയൻസ്, HDFC പോലുള്ള ലാർജ് ക്യാപ്സ് ആണ് കൂടുതൽ റിട്ടേൺ കൊടുത്തത്. മിഡ് ആൻഡ് സ്മോൾ ക്യാപ്പ് ജനറലി അത്ര ഒരു അപ്രിസിയേഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ മാസം കിട്ടിയിട്ടില്ല. പിന്നെ ഇപ്പോൾ ELSSൻ്റെ സമയമാണ്, ജസ്റ്റ് പറഞ്ഞതേ ഉള്ളൂ. ELSSൻ്റെ സമയമാണ്. ടാക്സ് സേവിങ്സ് ഈ മാർച്ച് 29th വരെ ഉള്ളൂ. കാരണം ലാസ്റ്റ് 1-2 ദിവസം മറ്റേ ഗുഡ് ഫ്രൈഡേ ഒക്കെ ഹോൾഡ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് മാക്സിമം നേരത്തെ അയക്കുക. കാര്യം ഇപ്പോൾ കുറച്ച് ടൈം എടുക്കും. നമുക്ക് ചെക്ക് ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഫണ്ടിൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ അത് ചെക്ക് ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്തൊക്കെ വരാനാണെങ്കിൽ ഒരു 3 to 4 days എടുക്കാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പം മാക്സിമം ഒരു 20 സെക്കൻഡിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ELSS ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നവർ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. കാരണം ഡിലേ ആയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ അത് കുറച്ച് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് വരും. കാര്യം ഇപ്പം ചെക്ക് ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്ത് അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് AMC യൂണിറ്റ്സ് മേടിക്കത്തുള്ളൂ. കുറച്ച് പണ്ടത്തെ പോലെ പെട്ടെന്ന് കിട്ടത്തില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഉള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് ലാസ്റ്റ് 1-2 ദിവസം ഹോൾഡേയും കൂടെ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് നേരത്തെ ആവശ്യമുള്ളവർക്ക് ടാക്സ് സേവിങ്സ് മേടിക്കാം. കാരണം 1.5 വരെ ATCയിൽ ടാക്സ് സേവിങ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. രണ്ടും ചാർട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മാർക്കറ്റ് ഒരു പുതിയ ചാനലിലാണ് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഹൈ ഒരു ചാനലാണ്. അപ്പോൾ മുമ്പ് ഒരു കൺസോൾട്ടേഷൻ ആയിരുന്നു, അതിന് നല്ല ഒരു അപ് ട്രെൻഡ് ചാനലാണ് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ചാനൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ആണെങ്കിൽ 23,500 പ്ലസ് ആണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു വരുന്നത്. മീൻസ് ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ് ആയി വേണമെന്നില്ല, എങ്കിലും ഒരു ഷോർട്ട് ടൈമിൽ ഈ ഒരു ചാനൽ ജനറലി ഒരു ചാനലിലാണ് മാർക്കറ്റ് എപ്പോഴും മൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ചാനൽ ഒരു അപ്വേർഡ് ചാനൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ടാർഗറ്റ് പറയുമ്പോൾ 23,500 വരെ പോകാനുള്ള ഇതുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ലെവലിൽ നമുക്ക് കാര്യം ഇന്നലെ ഈ മാർക്കറ്റ് നിഫ്റ്റി അപ്പാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ലെവലിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ആണെങ്കിൽ അത് ഷോർട്ട് ടൈമിൽ തന്നെ വരാവുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ചാനലിൽ മിഡ് ആയിട്ട് ഒരു ലൈൻ വരയ്ക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കൊരു ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ടാർഗറ്റ്, ഇതാണ് ഒരു മിഡ്. ഈ ചാനൽ ഇത് മിഡായിട്ടുള്ള വരയ്ക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ 22,850. അപ്പോൾ അതാണ് അടുത്തതിൻ്റെ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ്. എല്ലാവരും ഇപ്പോൾ മാർക്കറ്റ് ആൾട്ട ഹൈയിലാണ്. അപ്പോൾ റെസിസ്റ്റൻസ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് നോർമൽ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ട്രെൻഡ് ലൈൻ അങ്ങനെ വരച്ചാലേ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ 22,850 ആണ് ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള റെസിസ്റ്റൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് സപ്പോർട്ട്സ്. നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സപ്പോർട്ട്സ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ 22,125. അപ്പോൾ മാർക്കറ്റ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു എന്തെങ്കിലും നെഗറ്റീവ് ന്യൂസ് ഗ്ലോബലി ഒന്ന് കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ 22,125 വരെ വരാം. അതും കൂടെ ആണെങ്കിൽ 21,150. മാക്സിമം ഈ ലെവൽ വരെ മാർക്കറ്റ് ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ലെവലിൽ വരത്തുള്ളൂ. പൊതുവെ ഇലക്ഷൻ ടൈമിൽ നമ്മൾ ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്ക് നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ലാസ്റ്റ് 4 ഇലക്ഷൻസിലും 3 ഇലക്ഷൻസും ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് റിട്ടേൺ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ പൊതുവെ ഒരു ഇലക്ഷൻ അപ് ടു മാർച്ച് ടു ജൂൺ ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കലി ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് റിട്ടേൺ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് മാർക്കറ്റ് ഒരു ഗ്ലോബൽ ന്യൂസ് അല്ലാതെ ഒരു വലിയൊരു കറക്ഷൻസിന് ചാൻസ് കുറവാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ പോസിറ്റീവ് ട്രെൻഡ് കണ്ടിന്യൂവാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ഈ 23,500 അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 22,850 ആ ലെവലിൽ വരാവുന്നതാണ്.
If you see the top 5 global economies, the first one is US, the second is China, the third one is Germany, which recently overtook Japan, and fourth one is Japan, and fifth is India. So if you leave aside China, all the 4 economies stock market is at all-time high. US is at all-time high, German DAX index is at all-time high, US both Dow and Nasdaq is at all-time high, German DAX is all-time high, Nikkei after 35 years they have broken the previous high. 1989 they made Nikkei was around 38,000. It took almost 35 years to cross that high. So recently Nikkei also came to an all-time high. Indian market is doing well and it's at all-time high. So if you see that, it's almost a global phenomenon. All the markets are rallying, not only stock market. If you see the other asset class, gold yesterday night it was trading at a lifetime high, $2,185 per ounce. It's a lifetime high. Bitcoin yesterday night touched $70,000 per Bitcoin. So alternate asset classes are doing very well. Stock market is doing very well. It's a global phenomenon. So whenever globally everything is rallying, Indian market cannot be an isolated place. Indian market also will do well, and along with strong fundamentals, it will do much better. The other important thing which has happened in the last 1 month is that the broader market we are seeing some profit booking and consolidation, whereas interest has come into large cap. After many months, Nifty has done better than the mid cap and small cap index, and we are expecting that in immediate term it will perform like this. Large cap stocks will do much better than mid and small cap. In mid and small cap space, in mid and small cap space, there will be selectively some profit booking will be there. Still many stocks will do well in mid and small cap space also, but the rally which we saw 3 months back, 4 months back, where across the board everything was rallying, that may not happen in near term. It may again come in the month of April, and post elections it may happen, but in near term we are expecting that some profit booking may come in some sections of large mid and small caps, whereas the large cap will do well. But nothing to panic that market will crash. That will not happen as of now. As of now, global markets are extremely strong. Many markets are doing well, and Indian markets also will continue to do well. Major correction is unlikely, taking the current situation. So many are telling that the valuations are high, market will crash. So we cannot take valuation as a only parameter for the markets to correct for very sharply. Normal correction may come, but for the market to crash and all, both valuations should be peak as well as the fundamentals should be peak. As of now, the fundamentals are strong, balance sheets are extremely strong. So a big crash is very unlikely in our market. Normal correction may happen in broader market, but large caps are likely to do well in near term. If you see that Nifty almost 3.2% rally, Nifty and Sensex has gone up by around 3.2 and 3.5. Mid cap almost flat, when BSE small cap is down by 2%. So after many months, we are seeing that small cap index is underperforming the large cap indices. One important domestic macro data which came the last month was the Q3 GDP data. So it was extremely surprising for many and most of the economists also, because the consensus number was around 6.6, 6.7 it was expected, but the actual figure came was 8.4. So for the first time I am seeing that such a big difference happening between the estimates, consensus estimates and the actual data. First time such a huge difference, 6.7 and 8.4 means almost 1.7% difference. Generally it won't happen, maybe 0.3, 0.4 maximum it can go this way or that way, but 1.7% difference between consensus estimate and the actual data is very surprising for many. And the reason given by the government is that the GDP data, which includes indirect taxes and the subsidies, is reduced from that. What government says is that due to the sharp collection of taxes as well as sharp reduction in subsidies, the GDP data has gone up this much against the consensus. And but the GVA, gross value added, which most economists will look much closely than GDP data, that came mostly in line with expectation. The expectation was around 6.4, and that data came in that range. GDP, simple terms, if you tell me, GDP equal to gross GVA plus indirect taxes minus subsidy. So GVA came in line, indirect taxes came much above expected, and subsidy got reduced a lot. That is why the GDP came that much very strong at 8.4. And if you see the segments in the GDP contribution, the manufacturing did very well and contributed huge increase in GDP data, while agri, because of the erratic monsoon last year because of El Nino year, the agriculture contractor, agri segment contractor, and that has contributed less to the GDP data. And now everyone has revised the GDP data upwards, including RBI. Day before yesterday, RBI told that they are expecting GDP data around 8% for FY24. Similarly, this yesterday rating agency Moody, they also have revised the GDP to 8%. This is the quarterly GDP growth chart. If the last data came was 8.4. So the Q3 data came at 8.4, and the other two important things that previous two quarterly GDP data also revised higher. Actual announcement came at 7.6, but they revised to 8.1 in recent declaration of GDP data. They are revised from 7.6 to 8.1. Similarly, this data also has been revised upwards of 8.8%. So in the first 3 quarters, we have got it more than 8%. Now the overall expectation is around 8%, which means that the fourth quarter, the data will come around 7.3, 7.4. That is what the expectation is. Then only overall the average will come around 8%. So after many quarters, we are seeing the consistent GDP data of above 8%. And this is the sectorial growth. So these are very interesting economic data. GDP in our country consists of 3 segments. The first one is the agriculture, the second one is the industry, and third one is the services. If you see the agriculture, it is a degrowth, minus 0.8. Because of the erratic monsoon, as I told previously, because of the El Nino year, the monsoon was erratic, and that has contributed to less to agriculture, minus 0.8. Even now we are seeing that there is a huge water shortage in cities like big cities like Bangalore. Southern states, they did not got much rainfall, and that has contributed less to agriculture, and minus 0.8. Whereas industry has done very well, 10.4%, mining, manufacturing, electricity, construction, all this has done exceedingly well. If you see the stocks which has done very well in the last 6 months in our market, if you see most of the stocks related to these segments only. Manufacturing segment, most of the stocks has done well. Electricity, power stocks, almost all power stocks has done well. Construction in L&T and other all construction companies, they have done well. So mostly the segments which have done in the last 2-3 quarters, the same stocks has done very well in the stock market also. The stocks that were doing well. Services 7% growth, and we all know that India is basically a service-oriented country because services contributes more than 60% of our GDP. In that, hotels, trade hotels, financial real estate, all has done reasonably well. Only segment which done very badly was agri, and GVA is at 6.5, and it came mostly in line with expectation. As I said, this is the data where most economists will look very closely, because GDP, subsidies and indirect taxes, that will change the overall final data of data. Consumption. One important thing which is happening in our country for the last 1 year is almost for 1 year is that consumption is actually not doing well. India is basically a consumption country, and consumption is not doing well. If you see the government final consumption, it is negative. So very rarely it used to happen. We used to get minus data and government consumption. Similarly, private consumption is 3.5 only. That also is a very low data. Generally used to grow in line with the GDP, but this time if you see, means it has come far below than the actual GDP data. Actual GDP data was almost 8.4, whereas the consumption growth was 3.1 only. What has done well is the gross fixed capital formation. It's a very important segment of the GDP. Gross fixed capital, it is the asset which is created in our country. That has done well, 10.6. And this segment, the stocks which are contributing to this area, like L&T, power stocks, construction stocks, all this will come into this only. Gross fixed capital formation in this segment only it will come. That has done very well. And if you see the stocks like consumption based stocks, except auto, the others are not doing well in the market. And some of the stocks like Hindustan Unilever, FMCG company is a large, where the prices hasn't moved anywhere in the last 3-4 years. It was going up and coming down, and it's almost what it was 3 years back. Some of the companies like Page Industry, which is basically a consumption based company, that also is trading at almost 3-year low. And only stocks which are related to the capital formation, they are doing well. So market is almost reflecting what is happening in the economy, and market is perfectly pricing. Pricing may be higher or lower, but the price movement the stocks are reflecting is almost what is happening in the economy. And now let us compare with China and India. So many are very jubilant that many I am seeing in media debates and all that India is growing at 8.44%. It's a big achievement. But if you take the population in our country, 140 crore people, this 8.4 is a good, but still it is not enough. It has to sustain. We have got it just for 1 quarter, but it has to sustain for multiple decades. Then only then only the quality of living will go up for majority of the sections of the population. This is just a comparison between India and China for last many decades. If you see that in 80 to 90, why from 80 they have taken is that in 1979 only China started opening up their economy. Till then it was a closed economy, and in 1979 onwards they brought back the reforms in their country. They opened for manufacturing sector for foreign companies, and they opened up the economy. And from 80 to 89, 1 decade, Chinese growth was 9.8%. India almost double that what India was growing. Similarly, from the next decade, 90 to 99, another 10 years, they were growing at 10%. India was growing at 5.7, almost double that what India was growing. Then 2000 to 2009, another 10% growth. So almost for 30 years, China was growing at an average rate of 10% GDP growth. So we have to grow around 8% for not for one quarter, at least for multiple decades in coming, at least for next 2-3 decades we have to grow. Then only our overall the condition people are living, the poverty level many people are living, we can lift it. And 2010 to 22, China growth rate slowed down because the global financial crisis came and China extensively invested more money in infrastructure that has got saturated. So Chinese growth started coming down, and 2010 to 22 Chinese growth was 7%, whereas our average was 6.2. And it is now expected that from next 5 years we will grow around 7%, whereas China growth is expected to fall to 4.1. So 3 decades they grown at 10%, and 10 to 22 the growth rate slowed down, and next 5 years it is expected that Chinese growth will come down. That is why if you see that Chinese market is not doing well, because from high growth the growth rate is continuously falling. For us it is expected that next 5 years we will grow around 7%. Actually government was aiming for 8% growth, but 7% may come. The government is desiring for 8% growth, but only if we grow 7 to 8% for multiple decades because of the population we are having, then only India can do well.
We or China or any other?
Yeah, everybody see all the World Bank. There are many agencies, economists are. The World Bank will give projections for all countries, how much growth China will do. Not only for China, all the countries, US will do, European economy will do, India will do. So based on that, it is expected that Chinese growth will fall.
What is the main reason for this, sir?
They already, they have, I will tell now. I made a comparison, India and China. Why Chinese growth is expected to fall, that I will tell. See, if you see the India and China GDP composition, our main composition, GDP composition is the private consumption. So India is basically a consuming country. So that is why if you see that our trade deficit is in negative. We always have a trade deficit of every month $20 billion we are having. Because India consumes more, we import more than what we export. Whereas if you see the China composition, the consumption is just 38, whereas for India it is 60%. Gross fixed capital formation, which I told earlier, where assets are created. In GDP, that forms around 29%, whereas in China it is 43, almost 14% higher than what India does. So how China did 30% growth for the last three decades is that they built a lot of ports, a lot of power plants, a lot of road. Like that they have invested heavily in the infrastructure. So that had aided the growth of China. Now almost railway lines, this bullet train and all, China has a lot of bullet trains where nowhere in the world we have. Even in US or Europe we don't have. So like that they have invested heavily in infrastructure in the last 3-4 decades. That is why the gross fixed capital formation is very high. Whereas in India, it is going to start only. The government is, that is why government is focusing on making investments in power, road and infra. We may think that why government is helping Adani. Many are telling that because only by making this investments, gross fixed capital economy will go up. Only few business people are ready to take risk and invest. Government spends, if you see in China in GDP decomposition it is 16%, whereas in India government spend is 11%. One reason why our gross fixed capital formation is very less is that our corporates are very risk averse. Our corporates are hesitant to take debt from the bank, because in 2008 we had a very bad experience where many of the high loan projects went into NPA because of global financial crisis, and many group went bankrupt. Like Lanco group, which invested in power plants, like that many group went bankrupt. So now the corporates are extremely cautious. They are not taking loan in spite of a very strong balance sheet. Now if the same government comes next time, means they will try to motivate most of the corporates to take debt and and try to invest it, which will form the gross fixed capital formation, power plants, roads, port, like that they will give concession for the corporates which are going to invest in that. Only by investing in that only we could revive it, because if private consumption, if we try to increase further, means it will lead to a higher trade deficit only. Well, 3 days back we got one information on Tata. All the Tata Group shares went up on Thursday and Friday. Any reason why it has done? Yeah. See, because of the news of Tata Sons, the one brokerage called Spark, they released a report that Tata Sons may get listed, and because of that only Tata's group shares, everything went up. Previously, 10 years, 20 years back and all. Suppose some information is coming, means no one will be knowing it. Only the fund managers who are sitting in big cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, they will be only knowing an information. They will slowly start buying a share, and after buying, they will tell to someone, and a last man will come to know. It will take at least 6 months, 7 months. It will come. It will take for a normal man to come to know. Then it will come into paper. But it is not the case now. Everyone is getting the same information at the same time. Previously there was no website, BSc website, NSC website was not there. So if a company gets order, means immediately everyone is knowing at the same time. So the information arbitrage, where many fund managers and many people used to had it, and they used to capitalize it. Now it is no more available for them, because everyone is getting an information at same time. Majority of the information, not 100%, almost 70-80% information everyone is getting it. And once everyone gets, what will happen? Everyone try to jump and react to that information. Stock price will go up very sharply, or it will come down very sharply. Last 2 days, stock price went up very sharply, all the Tata Group companies, because everyone was knowing that Tata Sons is going to get listed, and it will be positive for Tata Chemicals and other companies, and everyone buying it, everyone bought it and went up. Similarly, IIFL, RBI took some action. Immediately IIFL stock fell by 2 days to 20% it fell. So on both upside and downside, everyone is reacting at the same time, because there is no information arbitrage available. So one who is going to win because of the available information is interpretation of information is going to be very crucial. So that is going to decide who is going to win and who is going to lose because of over information. For example, one company BHEL, 1 week back, one news came that they are going to get an order from NTPC, 17,000 crores order they are going to get it. So that news was there in a newspaper, and immediately BHEL stock went up by 15%. Next day it went up. So for 17,000 crore order, the market cap went up was almost 13,000, 14,000 crores. It went up BHEL because of that news. But I see it as an overreaction. For 17,000 crores order, which it may or may not get, the maximum profit BHEL may get is around 1,700 crores, 10% they may get it in that order. That too will be done over the next 5 years it will take for them to get that profit. But very next day the stock price has reacted, and the stock price went up by 13,000 crores. It added to the market cap. That means it is an overreaction, and like that overreaction is happening, and those who can interpret the information, they can react very sensibly, and we can see it. Some news will be unnecessary, that the stock price will fall by 10%, 15%. On that time they may use it for buying. Those who can interpret the news well, they feel that the stock price has overreacted and they can buy. So overreaction to inform both sides will provide opportunity for rational investors. No, it will provide a big opportunity for them because of the overreaction, because everyone is getting an information, but we don't know what impact it will happen to the stock or the company over next 1 or 2 years. But the reaction is too sharp that it will lead to overreaction. So this is the Nikkei chart. As I said previously, the Nikkei December 29, 1989, the index was 38,957 Nikkei We see it in Bloomberg and CNBC. Nikkei, this is the first market which opens in the morning. So morning 5 o'clock, if you switch on the TV or in your mobile, Nikkei is the first market. Australia will open first, but it's a very small market. The second market that used to open is the Japanese Nikkei. In December 29, 1989, the index was 38,957. So from there, it fell by the 2009, it fell below 10,000. It came to 9,000, 8,000 level. From 39,000, the index came to 8,000, means almost 70% fall in the index. From there, now again it has started going up. Now on February 22nd, 2024. So almost 25 years it took for the index to catch the previous level. 35 years it took for the index to reach the previous level. We now what is happening? Some stocks is falling by, is not moving for 2 months, 3 months. Everyone in Twitter or social media is saying that the market has consolidated. Now it's time to buy. Asian Painted 3 years no return. Everyone saying that the stock has consolidated. Now it's time to buy. But if you see the index and all, it took almost 35 years to came back to the previous high. And think about the individual stocks. Many stocks would not have come. In Nikkei, some of the stocks which were in the index at that time would have never come to the buy price even after the 35 years. So it's always wise to have an diversified portfolio, because anything can happen. So Bitcoin, where many of them thought that during this fall it is going to be the end for the Bitcoin. From more than $60,000, it fell to less than 20 last year, and many of them told that it is going to be the end of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. But surprisingly, that also went up very sharply and has crossed the previous high. So stock market is at high, gold is at an high. This is the gold chart. Gold yesterday came at all-time high to $2,185 per ounce. So gold also has crossed previous high. US market as at all-time high. So US market all-time high, Nikkei all-time high, Bitcoin all-time high, gold all-time high. So globally, across asset classes, across markets, we are seeing this phenomenon. S&P crossed 5,000 1 month back, and it is continuously going up. But one difference between US market rally and rally in our country is that in US it is a concentrated rally in tech majors. The recent leg of the rally is due to a semiconductor company called artificial intelligence semiconductor company called NVIDIA. That one contributed majority of the rally in US in the latest leg. And if you see the top 5 stocks constitute almost 25% of market cap of S&P 500. So this was happened only in 1960, almost 5-6 decades after. Top 5 stocks is contributing highest percentage of market cap of S&P 500. So it's a concentrated rally is happening in US market, whereas in India it is a broad-based rally, and it's also due to the retail money coming into the market. Why it is happening like that is that the US is running a very high fiscal deficit. US fiscal deficit trend, if you see that total, if you see almost 1 trillion in 2023, the fiscal deficit is almost 1.7 trillion for 2023. In current year 2024 also, the fiscal deficit is going to be very high, because US is continuously heavily borrowing. The dollar, people having hope on dollar, that is going up, that is going down. Suppose India is having very high fiscal deficit, what will happen is that Indian currency will depreciate against the US dollar. But US itself is having a very high fiscal deficit. What will happen is that the alternate asset class like gold, Bitcoin, stocks, they are going up, because the US is continuously running a very high fiscal deficit. That is the reason why we are expecting all asset class. Coming to your question that whether it will sustain, only time will tell. We don't have the answer as of now. No one knows it. Only in hindsight we can tell it. If you want to get correct means, every 6 months we have to predict market will fall, market will fall. At one point of time we will get correct, that's all. If we are lucky, we may get correct on the first time. Otherwise, after 7 or 8 times, we may get lucky. So mostly if you see, most of the people who tell that I have predicted the market will fall means, in the past they have predicted multiple times. At some point of time, they will get correct. One commodity which has come to the COVID low is the natural gas. So it will benefit our country. This is the only commodity which has fell very sharply in the last 1 year. It has fell and it has come to the previous lows, almost to previous lows. It went up to $9 per MMBTU. Now it is 1.89. So previously it came during the COVID lows. Then even 2016 also it came. It's a 10-year chart. And it is almost a 10-year low in that range, bottom range it is running. India as a country used to import heavily. Even recently India has signed an agreement for importing from Qatar. They signed it. And this is one commodity which has fell very sharply, and it will benefit our country because we are basically importing lot of natural gases.
This will be good for that Petronet LNG.
Yeah, Petronet LNG also it will be benefit. And other oil, other gas companies, and similarly consumers. Consumer means mostly fertilizer company, power companies which are using gas as an fuel. They will benefit. Government will benefit much because fertilizer companies, many companies are using gas. During this uptrend, government stopped them using gas because it went up, price went up very sharply. Now it has come to an attractive price, and that will benefit government because the subsidy outgo will be less. Whenever price falls very sharply, the fertilizer companies will benefit, means naturally indirectly it will benefit government because the subsidy outgo will be less. The next event which is going to focus in our market is going to be the general election, and next week around March 14th or 15th the schedules is likely to be announced, and most of the political parties already engaged in will be busy engaged in election order and political alignment. Even our PM is making a tour on a daily basis. One day he is in Tamil Nadu, another day he is in Srinagar, another day he is in Himachal Pradesh. Like that, he is keep on traveling fully. So next 2 months, it is till the election results are coming. The political parties will be busy engaged in election order and political alignment. We are not going to expect much domestic news from it. And now market has already discounted that NDA to be back in power for third term, mostly discounted. Suppose in election if it gets confirmed means, then some of the foreign institutions money will come back to India. Not fully discounted, mostly discounted. So we may see some more rally in our market. Then we may see some profit booking. So market mostly discounted, NDA to be back in power for third term. That is what market is expecting it. And if they come back as expected means, market may go further. Suppose if it comes against the consensus means, then a very sharp downfall we can expect. And Tata Sons, we discussed this, and all the Tata Group stocks went up because of this news only. In September 2022, RBI classified Tata Sons as upper layer NBFC. Basically, Tata Sons is a holding company for many Tata Group stocks, but they have some debt, around 10,000 crores, some debt they were having it. And because if a company has an debt means, then that company will become upper layer NBFC company. It won't be treated as an core investment company. And as per the regulation, within 3 years it has to get listed. An upper layer NBFC company has to get listed. Since Tata was classified as an upper layer NBFC company in September 2022, 3 years means before 2025, September 2025, it will get listed. That is what the expectation of the market is. But yesterday Tata told that they are going to repay all the debt, or they are going to transfer to some other company, so that Tata will come out of this upper layer NBFC and can avoid listing. That is what the latest news came. So stock price which was going up for the last 2 days, 3 days, Tata Chemical from 930 it went to 1330, almost a 40% gain within few days. and Tata Power and Tata Motor. Everything went up because of this news. And suppose if Tata Sons categorically avoids listing means all the gains may not vanish. A part of the gain may go. And Monday we may expect reaction negatively on Tata stocks. And if you see the Tata Sons shareholding pattern, and if you see that Tata Trust, they are holding majority of the stake. Dorabji, Tata Trust, Ratan Tata Trust, JRD, other trust they are holding it. Then the individuals like Ratan Tata, Jimmy Tata, they are holding it. Apart from that, Tata companies, which are listed companies, they are holding stake in the Tata Sons. Tata Motor 3, Tata Steel 3, Tata Chemical 2.53, Tata Power 1.85. Other Tata companies like Indian Hotels, the Tata Investment, very small holding, and they are holding it. And the other major shareholder, if you see the Mystery family, 18.4%, they are holding it. Actually, this Mystery family is compelling Tata Group to buy back their holdings. They are compelling because the Mystery family is in a huge debt, and they were trying to sell some of the companies to pay off the debt. So it's a big holding. Market is expecting almost 8 lakh crore valuation for Tata Sons. 18% means almost it will come to 1.5 lakh crore. It will come for Mystery family, and they were forcing Tata for the last 2-3 years to buy back, either to buy back their stake, or they are telling that they may sell their stake to third party because they were urgently need of money because of huge debt they are having in their construction business and other business. And we have to see what Tata going to do. If they avoid listing means they have to make some arrangements for Mystery family to at least to partially sell their stake. They have to arrange a buyer for them. Otherwise, Tata Group itself has to buy some stake from Mystery family. Mixed auto sales. Auto sales, if you see that, an interesting thing is happening. Passenger vehicles, they are doing well. Two-wheelers were doing well, whereas commercial vehicle is not doing well, as well as the tractor segment is not doing well. Tractor, we all know that because of poor monsoon is not doing well. Commercial vehicle sales is also not doing well. Many stocks related to commercial vehicle which rallied a lot, now they have stagnated and they have coming down. Whereas two-wheeler, the sales is extremely good. Even today morning in Business Line, I read the article that the inventory level of two-wheeler is just 10 to 15 days only, and it's one of the lowest inventory level we are seeing it. Whereas in passenger vehicle, interesting phenomenon is happening. What is that? Means the inventory level is higher, but the new models which they are launching, they are doing very well, whereas the old model cars, they are not doing well. Overall, the passenger vehicle segment is doing well. So whenever market doing very well means who is the biggest seller, if you see, means most of the time it will be promoters or those who are holding a huge stake in the company. The same thing is happening now. MNC companies, if you see that 2 weeks back, Whirlpool sold the Whirlpool American company was holding 75%. They sold almost 24%. They sold it in market. And Timken, there's a few months back, Timken is also a US company. They sold a partial stake in the market. Both stock was trading at a very high valuation. In the US, if you see that Whirlpool company used to trade at a single digit PE. Similarly, Timken trade at 10 to 20 PE in US, their parent companies. Whereas Indian subsidiary, Whirlpool was trading around 80-90 PE. Timken was trading around 70 PE. So they felt that the valuation is very high, they sold it. Similarly, a company called Agrotech Foods. It's a US based subsidiary called Agro. It's a very famous company in US. They completely sold the entire stake in to a PE player. In market it was trading around 850-900 rupees, whereas they sold it at around 500 rupees. They sold a complete stake. Almost a 40% discount to the market price they sold it. So promoters are feeling that the price which is trading in Indian market is very high. So that is why they are selling it. And day before yesterday, M&M promoters sold 0.75% stake. It's very surprising because M&M was holding just a 19.25% stake in M&M. In that itself very low when compared to other companies. And in that they sold 0.75% stake. They have sold it. So on daily basis, large block deals were happening. On Monday, we are expecting that Indigo promoters are going to sell some stake in the market. So like that, on a daily basis, either a PE player will be selling or a promoter will be selling, or a big investor who was holding for many years, they were selling. So like that, on a daily basis, big deals were happening, and if you see who are the buyers, mainly it is mutual fund, and selectively in some stocks foreign institutions, they are buyers. Day before in Bharati Airtel also one block deal happened. Singtel, they sold a partial stake in Bharati Airtel, and that is why the Thursday buy figure of FIA is very high, mainly because of the Bharati Airtel block deal. Indian currency is relatively strong when compared to other currencies from January 1st onwards. So Japanese yen depreciated by 6%, and Indonesian rupee almost most of the Asian currencies has depreciated. Only Indian rupee has appreciated marginally. So one reason for that is that FIA money is mainly coming into the bond market now. Indian bond is included in JP Morgan index and another index. So for that, some front running is happening, and a huge money is coming into the bond market, more than equity market. Now in bond market, FIs are very active and they are buying heavily because our Indian bond is getting added in some of the major index, and that is why, because of heavy money coming into the through foreign institutions, Indian rupee is relatively stable, whereas the other currencies has depreciated. Mutual fund flow yesterday came almost to 26,800 crore, one of the lifetime high. Previously we had it during March last year, and February, now it is almost 27,000 crores, nearly with inflow is there in mutual fund. And one of the reason for very high inflow is that last month we had some of the NFOs, SBI Energy Fund, which garnered around 6,800 crores. Like that, overall NFO alone contributed 11,000 crores. Apart from that, this SIP contribution, it has crossed 19,000 crores. SIP contribution is there, and both combined NFO and SIP contribution, we had one of the highest monthly inflow. Most probably March also will be very high, but NFO are less in March. February itself it came. Overall, the equity inflows are very strong, and the money available is that even if some FIs sell, means he can absorb it because of very high equity inflow. So what we are expecting is that low quality and overvalued stock, especially in the mid cap and small cap segment, which has rallied a lot, they may see some profit booking in the next 20 days, and sector and stock churning may happen, and large cap will do well in near term. In next 20-30 days in the month of March, we are expecting that large cap will outperform when compared to mid and small cap. Even in mid and small cap, selectively some stocks will do well. It's not like that it is going to crash. It won't be like that. Some stocks will do well, but it's going to be a divergence. Some may do well, some may not do well. It is not like we have seen 3-4 months back where everything was going up. It won't be like that. Large cap will do relatively well.